It's a new stream. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. In this ayah number 21 and 22 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah says that يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي, all you who, all mankind, worship your Lord. This is a command. Worship your Lord, enslave yourself to your Lord who created you and the people before you, لعلكم تتقون, so that perhaps, so that you can become تتقون, so that you can be protected, so that you can protect yourselves, so that you can have taqwa, so you can be people of taqwa. So that's the first ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. It's a command to worship and enslave yourself to Allah alone so that you can protect yourself. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. وعليكم السلام. So Allah says that, and in the next ayah, Allah explains how He has made the earth firashan, like a spread, a bed, a mattress for you, and the sky, and how He built the sky and sent down the rain from the sky, and فَأَخْرَجَ بِهِ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ رِزْقًا لَكُمْ, and how He extracted, made to come out from that fruits and different things, rizq, for provision for you, for us. فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So don't set up rivals with Allah while you know. And so those are the two ayahs. So if we get into it, Allah gave us the command to worship our Lord, to worship your Lord, the one who created you, so that you can protect yourselves. And Allah is the one who created us to worship Him alone, and this is the sole reason for our existence. So Allah is giving you the command, worship Him and worship Him alone. And as we know, وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that Allah did not create man, the jinns or mankind, except to worship Him. And this is the only reason why we were created. This is the reason for our creation, to worship Allah. But what is worship? So when Allah says اُعْبُدُوا رَبَّكُمْ وَالَّذِي خَلَقَكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, when Allah says worship your Lord, اُعْبُدُوا, that He's telling everyone, all of mankind, to worship Him. Not some specific group, right? Not a certain sect of people. Allah is saying everyone worship Allah. What is this? What is worship? Worship is unconditional love, unconditional obedience, unconditional allegiance, unconditional reverence. It's like everything is unconditional. It doesn't matter what happens, you are going to worship your Lord. If Allah gives you good, you're going to worship Him. If Allah decrees that some bad is happening to you, you're still going to worship Him. It doesn't matter what happened, what Allah says, whether you like, whether you dislike, whether it's for or against you, you are going to worship your Lord. It's unconditional. You're going to love Allah regardless. If you're in a hurricane, or if you're in sunny 72 degrees and sunny with a light breeze, whatever it might be, you are going to love Allah no matter what. It doesn't matter what side people fall on. Your allegiance is to Allah. This is worship. You are with them no matter what. And this is when Allah says, "U'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum," worship your Lord who created you. This is what it means. This is the meaning. It's not just, okay, you make salah. When you look at, when Allah gives you the command to worship, this is worship. It encompasses all those things. Yes, the acts of worship that we do fall under ibadah, because Allah, it's obedience. We're obeying Allah. He's commanded us to pray and to fast and these different things. So that falls under the command, Ya ayyuhan nasu u'budu rabbakum alladhi, that all mankind worship your Lord, the one who created you. That's it. But it encompasses all of these other things too, not just the worship, but in every circumstance, in every instance, your allegiance is unconditionally to Allah. No one else comes in between that. If you got to decide between Allah and someone else, no, you decide what to go with, Allah, every time. And this is worship. It doesn't matter what's going on. Your submission and your humility and your allegiance, your love, your obedience is unconditional, and it's always, all the time. This is what it means to worship your Lord. So if we worship Allah with this unconditional love, obedience, reference, and allegiance, then we can be muttaqeen, as Allah says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can become God-fearing, so that you can protect yourself. Protect yourself from what? Allah gives us an idea of what becoming a muttaqeen would be. So when Allah says that worship your Lord, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can become God-fearing, so that you can protect yourself. Al-muttaqeen, those are the people who protect themselves. Those are the people who have taqwa. Those are the people who are God-conscious, God-fearing. All this is wrapped up in it. But if we say those people who protect themselves, Allah says that they are muttaqeen. Okay? So, like Allah says in Surah Naba, right? He says, Inna lil muttaqeen mafazan. Okay? That al-muttaqeen, these people, if you can worship your Lord in that way, where unconditional love, obedience, unconditional, in all circumstances, in all situations, unconditional love, obedience, reference, allegiance, reverence, and allegiance, and all those things wrapped into one, then you can become al-muttaqeen, one of the muttaqeen. And Allah says in Surah An-Naba, Inna lil muttaqeen mafaza. So that for the muttaqeen is the victory, mafazan. And it's not just, so mafazan actually, it means to that you have obtained the attainment or the victory, right? So it's more than just an example of where you would just win something. It's more than that. It means like security. So you not only won, you attained security, success, a reward, including escaping from the fire and getting Jannah. It's like this. Say a young lady, a young girl, a pure girl, never smelled the scent of a man or anything like that, minding her business, maybe walking in the park or something. And some person, maybe someone who, those people who take people and then sell them in other countries where men come and they, spend time with them. Just to try to make it a little clear, but without being too explicit, right? Say this young girl's walking and someone wants to kidnap her and sell them to those people who sell people, right? And then use them for the things that they want to use them for against their will. And this is a person who has had no contact, no interaction with a man or anything. And this person is planning on doing this. And he has the drop on her. He's about to kidnap her and take her and sell her off to these other men, and they're going to do Lord knows what. Okay? But instead, right before the guy is about to get his hands on her to try to kidnap her, just say Prince Charming, the tall, dark, handsome, rich, pious, knowledgeable, all the things you could possibly want in a man, right? He comes, saves her, right? Saves her, knocks out the criminal, saves her, and then later on, this guy winds up saying, wow, you're such a wonderful person. She winds up marrying him instead. So she was saved from a disaster and actually wound up getting something outstanding, So this is mafazan. Not only you're saved from Jahannam, you're saved from the fire, you're saved from the eternal punishment of Jahannam. You freed yourself from that, And then on the flip side, on the back side of that, also, and that would be enough, man. If the fire was over there raging and someone just said, hey, I'm going to keep you from falling into that fire, you'd be like, great. I mean, I saved myself. I was almost fell into that fire, but I was saved. That would be enough. That would be great enough. But still, on top of that, you're going to get something even more better in return. So, like, if the girl were saved, that would have been enough. She would have been happy with that, but she also got a great husband out of the deal. So that is mafazan. That's the victory. You saved yourself and you got something great. Or like a person, like a man who is like just say a poor man, or a man who's about to lose his house. He's about to lose his home, and he is, doesn't know where he's going to get the money from. So right before he's about to lose his property or something like that, a plane crashes, in his yard or in his property or whatever, and up from the ground, comes some oil or something like the old tale or whatever. But anyway, or some natural resources or something that made him extremely rich. So he was about to fall into a disaster, but instead he got saved from that disaster and actually got something even better, which he got extremely wealthy. So this is the type of thing where al-muttaqeen, inna lil-muttaqeen mafaza, as Allah says in Surah An-Naba, that for the muttaqeen they're going to attain the victory, and they're going to, all these things are wrapped up. They're saved from disaster and they got a great reward. And in this ayah, when Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nasu u'budu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum walladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. So that you can become tattaqun, so you can become muttaqeen. If you become muttaqeen, you will save yourself from a disaster and you're going to get a tremendous reward. So this is what Allah is calling us to worship Him alone for. If you don't worship Allah alone, and that worship, like I said, it encompasses everything: the love, the obedience, the unconditional allegiance, all that comes with worship. It's not just praying. So let's keep that in mind. Now, Allah says in the next ayah, الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ فِرَاشًا وَالسَّمَاءَ بِنَاءً وَأَنزَلَ من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. That Allah is the one who made everything. And this ayah is talking about all the things that He made the sky and made it a canopy. He made the sky for you, made the earth inhabitable for you, and then made everything to grow. So basically, your entire existence, Allah has, in this ayah, is showing you that everything from your safety, from your security, from your being able to breathe and function and everything is solely, completely, and only due to Allah. It's not due to anyone else. Allah is the only one who did it, who created the earth and set the sky and set the earth the way it is and made the fruit and the vegetables and the vegetation to grow and everything to be inhabitable. Allah is reminding us that He is the one who did it, Him alone. So, for that reason, Allah says, فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا. Don't set up for Allah rivals. أَنْدَادًا, rivals with Allah. Don't ever do it. Allah, this is an explicit, direct command. Do not make anyone or anything a rival with Allah. This is what Allah is saying. فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So, the worst thing that we can do, if we understand this ayah very correctly, is the worst thing we can do is to make anyone or anything a rival with Allah. And Rasulullah says that, and this is the hadith, it's in Bukhari and Muslim. What does Rasulullah say? Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, I said to the Messenger of Allah, which evil deed is the worst with Allah? So Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is asking Rasulullah, what's the worst thing I can possibly do? What's the worst deed a person can do? What does Rasulullah say? The worst thing is to take an equal with Allah while He alone created you. Now, some people might be saying, all right, man, this is 101. This is Islam 101. Yes, it is. But unfortunately, we have a problem with this, and we'll see. What is a rival? Right? Okay, if we look at it and say, what is a rival? A rival, that the definition in English, the definition is a person or someone or something, a person competing with another for the same objective. Okay, that's one example of a rival. To be or seem to be equal or comparable. Further, rivals come in pairs usually. So at least to have a rival, there has to be one and then their opponent or their rival. Usually there's two. And we all know, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, Allah is one. There's no one comparable to him. So Allah definitely does not have a rival. But where people go wrong is they set up rivals with Allah. How? Let's give a real example of what we have heard in our lives. When you hear someone say, if you don't fear Allah, then fear me. Have we not heard that? Have we not heard the one they call Sheikh Mubarak Sa'id Jalani, right? Everyone knows, it's been quoted so many times, where he said, if they don't fear Allah, then fear me. This is, for himself to say that, means this, what is this indicating? If you don't fear Allah, then fear him. Because fearing Allah, there's a benefit to fearing Allah. And there is also a punishment. There is a negative aspect of you not fearing Allah. Also, the fear of Allah is because of what he can do to you. The power that he has, the authority that he has, the ability that he has is why we fear Allah. So if someone is saying, if you don't fear Allah, then fear me. Basically, I can do the same thing. Or I can do something that you not fearing Allah. Okay, but if you fear me, I am very dangerous to you as well, or just as dangerous, or just as powerful, or has the same type of ability. For a person to even say, well, if they don't fear Allah because they need to do X, Y, and Z, or they shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, then fear me. As if they are even comparable, even in the same neighborhood, the same conversation with Allah. This is a person setting themselves up as a rival with Allah. Because we say, fear Allah, and don't fear the people. We don't fear men. We don't fear other human beings in the way that we fear Allah. It's never acceptable to say, if you don't fear Allah, then fear me. And for the people who then look at it and say, okay, he said that, and who are going with that, who are following that, then the person who said it, they have set themselves up as a rival with Allah. So they themselves have, I don't know if am I still on? I don't know if I'm still on or not. Okay, anyway, I'm just going to continue. So they themselves set themselves up as a rival with Allah. Now, if the followers agree and say, okay, well, they set themselves up as a rival with Allah, and I agree with that, then they have set him up as a rival with Allah. You see, so this is something that's completely unacceptable. This is an example of how you can set up rivals with Allah, and it be unacceptable. I mean, so if they set up rivals, so I don't even know if it's still recording, but I'm gonna keep going. So if they set up rivals with Allah, if him saying this is setting up rivals with Allah, and they allow it and they agree with it and they believe it to hold some weight, then they themselves also have set him up as a rival with Allah. He set himself up as a rival with Allah. The people accepted it, and then they set him up as a rival with Allah. So Rasulullah SAW said that this is the worst of deeds, to set someone up as a rival with Allah. But there also are other things that we take as rivals to Allah that we should be careful of. For instance, spouses can set each other up, one or the other, as rivals with Allah. If your spouse commands you to do something that is illegal according to Islam, and you say, well, because my spouse wants me to do this, even though Allah says don't do it, then I will have to do it. Then you have set them up as a rival with Allah. You're obeying them. And as we said in the beginning, obedience, unconditional love, unconditional allegiance, all these things are for Allah alone, no one else. So even if your husband commands you to do something, if Allah says don't do it, you can't do it. Otherwise, you're setting him up as a rival with Allah. He's competing in the same space, same arena, same area. even our desires, the thing that the want, whether it be some sort of physical desires or some sort of desire for wealth or power or money, any of these things, if we're doing them and it is going against the things that Allah wants us to do, Allah tells us not to do, then we are setting up ourselves or these things as a rival with Allah. Similarly, if we are fearing the people, okay, and we're not doing what Allah has commanded us to do out of fear, then, it depends on what the level is, but you could be setting that fear up as a rival with Allah. We should fear Allah, not the people, not these worldly matters. People fear to be abandoned. They don't want to be abandoned by their friends or isolated from their friends and family. It's like you have in TMOA, right? They don't want to be abandoned or isolated or anything like that. So what do? They keep quiet about the things that they know that Allah and His Messenger have said to speak out about or to not let happen or to stand up for. So they keep quiet, or they're afraid of being ridiculed or embarrassed. And so the fear of ridicule or embarrassment has them to disobey Allah or has them to, go against what Allah says or what the Messenger says. This is setting up a rival with Allah. All types of things that we are doing in our own lives, that if we're knowing, Allah says don't do this, and it goes against your unconditional obedience to Allah and your unconditional love for Allah, and someone else is getting that, then you have made this a rival with Allah. So if we have unconditional love, unconditional obedience, unconditional allegiance to a spouse, then we have made the spouse a rival with Allah. If our love and allegiance and obedience is unconditional to a sheikh, to a group, to a tariqah, to any of these things, then we have made that group, that sheikh, that tariqah, a rival with Allah, because it cannot never be unconditional. Nothing can be unconditional in your allegiance, your love, your obedience. It cannot be unconditional. No conditions. It is no matter what happens, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to stick with it. I can't leave my sheikh until they die. This is only for Allah. Where is this coming from? The sheikh, once you take allegiance to a sheikh, it lasts forever. This is made up. Unconditional love and obedience and allegiance is only for Allah. This is worship. And if you are unconditionally following your sheikh, whatever they say, I'm following them. Whatever happens, whatever we find out about what they're doing, what they have done, how they were wrong, their mistakes and all these things, their sins, their crimes are being pointed out and documented. And your love and allegiance is unconditional. It doesn't matter what they say. Even if pure kufr is being shown, it doesn't matter what happens or what they say. Your allegiance, your love, and your obedience is unconditional to your sheikh. Then you have made your sheikh a rival with Allah. Furthermore, if that allegiance and love and obedience is unconditional to your group, to your tariqah, to your cult, whoever it is, whatever the name is, whoever they are, you have made them rivals with Allah. And as we know, whoever sets up rivals with Allah will never have success. May Allah protect us from setting up rivals with Allah. Ameen. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know.